Hey, what's up, fam? It's your boy. Welcome back to Real News Podcast. And I'm fired up today, so buckle up because we're going to break this down with some straight talk, no filter. Uh, we're going to dive into some latest moves by President Donald Trump to secure our borders, protect our sovereignty, and put America first. So let's dive into it. All right, Patriots, let me set the stage. America is under attack, not from outside invaders with guns, but from the policies that they have let our borders just become a free for all. For years, we've watched illegal immigration drain our resources, take our jobs from hardworking Americans, and threaten our safety as well. But now, under President Donald Trump, we've got a leader who ain't playing. His administration is dropping the hammer on illegal immigration and the folks who enable them. Now, today, I'm going to walk through the latest moves straight from the border battleground. This is about protecting our country, plain and simple. So if you're here with me, hit that like button and let's roll. Now, first, I'm going to jump into a video here regarding that. And I'm just going to let this play for a couple of minutes.
Sandra, thanks for joining us. How are you doing today?
Wonderful. Thanks for having me, Esme.
Yes, of course. And our topics for today's show include migrant services. Migrant advocacy groups appear to be in limbo as the federal government cuts funding and orders them to stop providing their services. The number of migrants entering the U.S. who would use those services is at an all-time low, and we will discuss how these groups are still helping these clients and including those who face the threat of deportation. We will start with some of our top topics out on the border, and that is a dead list. The Trump administration ordered the Social Security Administration to list over 6,300 migrants as deceased, blocking them from working in the hopes of having them self-deport. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem requested that migrants be placed on the SSA's ineligible master file, blocking them from working or receiving those benefits. We have the move targeted migrants legally admitted under the Biden administration, given tax IDs and work permits, but later had their statuses revoked by the Trump administration. And like I mentioned just a little earlier, this change was in hopes of blocking them from working and having them overall self-deport. Our next topic of conversation is related to a report that our Julian Resendes reported on earlier this week, and that is that advocates are slamming an IRS deal to share data on undocumented immigrants. It's called the Individual Taxpayer Identification Number, or also known as the ITIN. And for 30 years, the ITIN has let them file taxes without a work permit or even a social security number. The IRS argues all workers must pay taxes using those ITINs and without undocumented migrants to file without fear of info sharing. But advocates say a new IRS Homeland Security deal breaks that promise. Sandra, sending shockwaves through the immigrant community during this time right now as we are all filing taxes. Sandra, how might this affect the U.S. economy overall?
Yeah, and I think it's important to note that these are migrant workers who paid taxes. They paid into this. From the American Immigration Council says this is going to have a huge blow on our U.S. economy. In 2022 alone, undocumented immigrant households paid $46.8 billion in federal taxes, $29.3 billion in state and local taxes. They also contributed 22.6 billion to Social Security and 5.7 billion to Medicare. So sharing this information and blocking these ITINs is going to have a significant effect on the American economy.
Yes, a significant effect, as you said. Moving on to deportation, again, we have a federal judge that has temporarily blocked deportation.
I just gotta pause it right there, man. I gotta pause it right there. I don't know where she getting those numbers from, but I'm gonna tell you this right now. Like, I don't know where the hell she getting them numbers from, but that ain't added up at all. They making billions in in providing tax. Man, stop, lady, stop. That's ridiculous. Stop. Got to be out your mind. It's gonna be a big blow for America. No, it ain't. No, it ain't.
Patients in Colorado under the Trump's use of the 18th century Alien Enemies Act, and the American Civil Liberties Union filed on behalf of two Venezuelan men over in Denver who feared false ties to the Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua, and the act has been used only 3 times in the U.S. history, and most recently, the act was used last during World War II. The Supreme Court ruled deportees under Trump's declaration deserve a court hearing. Federal judges in New York and Texas temporarily stopped deportations, and the judge's 14-day order follows with a hearing set for later this month on April 21st to be exact.
And let me add to that, Esme, because yesterday there has been some recent developments where the federal judge said that the federal government willfully did not follow his orders, and some real strong language there. That's the first time we've ever heard that there could be some repercussions for the Trump administration.
So let me tell you something. First of all, for the ones who had court orders, they were supposed to go to court. They never went to court. So now, just like everybody else, if you don't go to court, guess what? Now you got a warrant for your arrest, right? So if you're supposed to go to your immigration court and you don't show up, guess what? They go snatch you up, and now they got to get rid of you because you had your chance to go to court and deal with it, but you didn't.
Yes, and moving on to our next topic, and it has to do with CBP encounter numbers for the month of March. We have this chart here with us that we can display on our screens, and it shows a huge drop down to 95%. Sandra, why do we think this is, and what have you heard down in the Valley area?
Yeah, so the March encounter numbers. Now, this is the number of people that Border Patrol agents on the southwest border come across. And they were 7,181 for the month of March. Okay, to put that into perspective, it was 137,473 in the previous March of 2024. So down by 130,000 people. This was also down 14% from just February, where it was 8,346 people came across. Now that's the entire 2,000-mile southwest border from Brownsville, near where I am, to San Diego, where Sal is. December, we had 47,324 people that came across. This was during the Biden administration. In the RGV, our numbers have dropped. We're fourth in encounters so far for this fiscal year. You know, this region had led the country with migrant encounters for several years, mostly a lot of family units and unaccompanied children, they were called UACs, would come across here. Now, the asylum policies have changed. There is no CBP One app. They cannot come to a port of entry and request asylum. I'm not saying it's completely closed. It's an individual case-by-case basis, but it is greatly reduced the number of people that they will consider. There are still some extremely vulnerable populations that will be able to cross, and those, again, are U.S. Customs and Border Protection officers make those decisions on a daily individual case-by-case basis. But the number of unaccompanied children dropped so far 63% in fiscal year 2025. Now, as we've reported and as we've shown you here on this show, and we've done stories on borderreport.com, people are still coming across the cartel. They're still paying cartel, who are issuing wristbands. They're paying thousands of dollars. We were in a field recently with a Border Patrol agent who showed us hundreds of wristbands on the ground. Each wristband represented a different color, a different group they came across. It's almost like they issue them colors depending if it's your first time, second time, third time. If you make it across, you take the wristband off. So we know people are still crossing. How many of those people were encountered by Border Patrol? Are they evading? It's not like the old days when they would turn themselves in and say,
Yeah.
I want to claim asylum. So I think that's really the big difference that's happening here on the border.
And Sandra, do you see that these numbers are going to continue to go down in the next coming months, possibly to the end of the year?
Yeah, I mean, I don't see them, given the current policy, the current restrictions, the current, they're just not admissible. I don't see these numbers really increasing. It sounds like people are getting the message that don't come to the border, which is the message that the administration is trying to send.
Yeah.
We're even hearing the number of people waiting in shelters in Mexico is greatly down, and we'll talk about that later.
Yes, that is our topic of conversation all throughout this entire show. But before we come back from this,
All right, I'm gonna end this right here. I'm gonna, yeah. All right, I'm done with that video. All right. All right. First off, let's talk about how Donald Trump's team just canceled over 6,000 Social Security numbers by immigrants by marking them as dead on the Social Security Administration's list. Right now, y'all, they're wiping out their ability to work or get benefits, and that's all they're doing. They're trying to put an end to this. Right. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem requested that targeting folks who got in legally under Biden had their status revoked by Donald Trump. Now, the goal of that was to pushing them to self-deport, right? And I'm sitting here saying, finally, we're giving out, why are we giving out Social Security numbers to people who shouldn't even be here? They're here illegally. Why are they getting Social Security numbers in the first place? This move is like a wake-up call. America ain't your personal ATM. If you're illegal, pack your bags, because we're not playing them anymore. Now, I know the left is going to be crying about this, saying it's cruel, but let me ask y'all something. Is it cruel to protect American jobs? Is it cruel to make sure our tax dollars go to citizens and not lawbreakers? I don't think so. It's just common sense. Donald Trump is just doing what he promised to do, put America first. Now, next up, the IRS is teaming up with Homeland Security to share data on undocumented immigrants. Now, they're using something called ITINs, which is Identification Taxpayer Identification Numbers. To track down folks who are here illegally and get them deported. Now, the left is losing their minds, calling it a breach of trust. I don't see a breach of trust. I mean, you really got to be kidding me with that. These folks are breaking the law just by being here. The IRS is not your therapist. It's not supposed to keep your secrets if you're a criminal. Now, Ray Mancera from LULAC was out here whining about privacy. But I say, if you're illegal, you don't get privacy. You get a one-way ticket out of here. This deal is supposedly limited to folks under criminal investigation. But honestly, I hope they expand it. We've issued 26 million ITINs since 1996. 26 million. That's a whole lot of people who got a check on. This is about accountability, y'all. If you're paying taxes, but you're not supposed to be here, we're going to find you. That's law and order. Now let's talk about the alien registration requirement. Donald Trump's administration dropped this bombshell saying that if you're here illegally, you got to register with the feds. Now, if you don't register, you're looking at fines or even jail time. You also got to carry registration papers too. Now, the opponents try to sue it and stop. To sue to stop it, right? But a federal judge said, nah, Donald Trump is right. And I'm over here cheering for it. This is brilliant. Either you come forward and we know who you are, or you stay hiding and risk getting caught. Either way, we're tightening up the nukes right now, right? Advocacy groups are saying nobody's registering and it's because they're just scared. Good. Be scared. If you're breaking the law, you should be looking over your shoulder. Some folks are leaving the country on their own, which is another good positive right there. And that's what I call a win for America. USCIS says failing to register could mean fines and incarceration. Sounds like justice to me, honestly. The left calls it deportation scheme, and I call it enforcing the law, period. And now check this out. Donald Trump and the GOP-led Homeland Security Committee ain't just going after immigrants. They're targeting the groups helping them as well. They're investigating NGOs for using taxpayer dollars to facilitate illegal immigration. In El Paso, a nonprofit called Azrela del Paso got told by the DOJ to shut down 2 programs helping illegal immigrants with legal services. Down in South Texas, nearly 200 workers at ProBar are getting laid off. Why? Because fewer immigrants are even showing up for help as numbers drop to record lows. That's what strong borders do. And I'm tired of seeing these so-called advocacy groups acting like they're heroes when they're really just enabling lawbreaking. If you're using my tax dollars to help illegals, you're part of the problem. Donald Trump is sending a clear message. America ain't funding your agenda. And to those groups running on donations saying they'll just keep fighting, good luck with that. You know, we the people are done with open borders. So there you have it, fam. Trump's administration is fighting tooth and nail to secure our nation, from canceling Social Security numbers to tracking illegals through the IRS to forcing them to register and shutting down shady advocacy groups. This is what a strong border looks like. This is what a strong America looks like. I know the left is screaming racism and xenophobia, but I don't care. I really don't. This ain't about hate. It's about protecting what's ours. It's about protecting our jobs. It's about protecting our safety and our future. The safety of our kids, the safety of our kids' futures. Now drop your comments below, hit that thumbs up, and make sure you subscribe because we're just getting started. So until next time, stay sharp, stay smart, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.